Deck the balls with fouls of folly. It's Christmas week, so let's get into some sports stuff.
It's time to get some SportSense. You're gonna get some SportSense. You better get ready for SportSense. SportSense.
All right, if you hear some squeaks, we got a baby with us tonight, but welcome back to SportSense. This is where you get sports news for sports noobs. We're in person, live in North Carolina, and we've got a football game on right next to our camera, so Dad's going to be glancing at that, but hopefully not too distracted.
No. Just want to see Rivers play. It's Rivers against the 49ers, but
That's
the
right.
49ers just popped 2 TDs pretty quick. Hey.
So if you did not listen to last week, big story, Phillip Rivers came out of retirement to replace the Indianapolis Colts starting quarterback. Sorry, we got a bush between us. Can't really see you.
Yeah. Yes.
Jones
got injured, out for the season.
So the coach, he likes Phillip Rivers and said, hey, get off your couch and come play.
5 years he'd been sitting on his couch.
So he's 44 or 45 and back in the NFL. He could die at any moment getting hit
with a dad bod, but did really great last year. He had them in position to win last week. He had to drive down there to the field goal. They're up by 3.
Oh, you're good. Sorry. Oh, no, it was my water. Oh, did I break your Christmas?
Yeah, but that's okay.
Daggone it.
It's just Mom's.
All right.
But anyway, so the defense didn't quite hold him, and they ended up losing. But he did his part. So he already first drive here, he drove for a touchdown, TD pass.
Yeah,
it's crazy. He is the most. I don't think he can last a fourth of a season hardly because he's not physically ready for it. But he can come pop in for a few games. Right? I told you. See, Benson agrees.
All
right, let's go on.
My baby boy is with us. This is his first podcast episode, so welcome Benson to the podcast.
Hey, Benson.
Welcome to SportSense, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
We're going to see how he does. He's staying up way past his bedtime, so we'll see if this helps tucker him out a little bit.
That's because he knows the big ball game's on.
All right. Because it is Christmas week, we're going to keep this one little, hopefully. We're trying hard so we can go play some card games with the fam. But there are a couple big things that happened last week. So let's get into it. But first of all, we got to start with some mailbag. So Keaton texted us after last week's episode and said that, Dad, a couple weeks ago, you mentioned that there were no good college football games going on that weekend.
Yeah.
So this is kind of a correction. So he says the Army-Navy game.
I knew he was going to that because that's one of his favorites. Yes.
So he said
but that was the only one.
He says one of the best football traditions in history. It ended up with a great score and ending.
That is true.
So okay, there you go.
But I mean.
But also,
a lot of times Army-Navy game is not that great, but it's a great tradition.
Yeah.
But it ended up being pretty impressive because I think Navy was expected to win by quite a bit, and it was super competitive. Anyway,
yeah. I mean, it's a tradition. It's almost because they almost are never in like the rankings, right? They're never a top.
No,
neither
2 years ago, they actually, for the first time ever, I think, both of them somewhere in the season were ranked in the top 20.
Oh, okay.
That was like a first.
Wow.
Ever. So that was pretty cool 2 years ago.
Once in a while.
But I knew it when I said it later. I thought, I bet Keaton's going to have something to say about that. But anyway.
Yeah.
But other than that, because that's what makes it kind of cool. It's where they don't have any games that weekend or almost nothing.
Yeah.
And that's when they play. It's in between the play. Anyway.
So, yeah. All right. So people usually get it.
So good job, Keith. That's fine.
All right. Thanks for the mailbag.
It is a cool tradition, though.
Yeah. So let's move on let's just start talking. Speaking of college football,
we're going to do sports speak or not?
Yeah. Okay, but I'm kind of setting up the context. So I flew home to North Carolina to be with my family for Christmas. This is our North Carolina year. And we were watching football together, which was a blast to be with the Epps boys watching football. We posted a reel of everybody's predictions. Half of us were saying Georgia. So that's kind of what the Epps boys are feeling this week, is that Georgia's going to go all the way and win the national title, which I was surprised. Nobody said Ohio State. We had a couple Indianas.
Yes.
Anyways, so we'll get into that a little bit more. But while we were watching one game in particular, it was way closer than it was expected to be. It was a one-score game, which is a term that I wanted to bring up, which I've heard people say that the NFL is a one-score league because it's so competitive every game.
For the most part,
that usually comes down to the difference of one touchdown or one field goal, right, in a game. So it's a one-score. That's what they mean by one-score league. So it was a one-score game, and Keaton, my brother, at the end, there was less than 2 minutes to go, and the team that was behind got the ball back, and he said, "All right, time for the 2-minute drill."
Yep.
So I didn't want to bug it. It was an intense game, so I didn't want to bug everybody with my questions then. But I was hoping you could enlighten us on
Yeah, real simple. It's the preparation a team goes through. So if you're behind and you've got, and like I said, it's a one-score game, no matter what, if you're behind, the only time you wouldn't do it if you're left behind by like 3 or 4 touchdowns, I guess, or something bad. But to never say die, never quit, but especially if it's a one-score game, meaning it's 8 points or less, right? You want to at least, you got to get down. So 2-point drill means, number one, that's one of the reasons, as part of it, setup is you want to save as many timeouts as you can, because remember the clock runs. If you run the ball and get tackled in bounds, clock's always running. So 2-minute drill are the preset practices and plays that they make to get down the field extremely quickly, very quickly, right? So you got 2 minutes to go before the end of the game. You've got to either get in the end zone for a touchdown or get in position for a field goal to tie it or win it.
Okay.
So they do 2-minute drills all the time in preparation for their practices, right? That's just something you do all year. Preseason, all year long, you'd have 2-minute drills. And the offensive coordinators or whoever's calling the offensive game, they have their set of plays in which they pull from that are meant for the 2-minute drill. So a lot of times, a lot of passing plays, a lot of out routes, meaning they throw to the receiver on the edge of on the line, so they can step out of bounds, stop the clock. Because you go out of bounds with the ball, you stop the clock.
Okay.
So there's all that strategy.
If you catch a pass and get tackled,
the clock keeps going. Yeah.
Okay.
But and if you get a first down, they stop the clock briefly while they move the chains. Get ready for the next 10 yards.
Okay.
But most importantly, so the concept is you got to get down, either have a field goal or a touchdown, which whenever you need, in less than 2 minutes.
Yeah.
And so it's just a 2-minute drill. So that's the drill, means that's how they practice it, 2-minute drill.
This might be a dumb question, but why don't they play that way the whole game?
Right. That's a reasonable question. It's because, number one, you probably couldn't do your offensive line like that. They probably would die.
Okay.
And it's not, a lot of it's not real high percentage, like running the ball. It's going to be higher, more risk, because it's going to be more passing or certain type of run plays, but you just couldn't do that to your offensive line. They couldn't keep up the pace. And you really do need to run, because when you have a lead, you want to run off the clock. And when you run the ball, the clock's running.
Okay.
So you want to run off the clock when you're leading throughout the game. I mean, it's just so, it's hard. You get that mix of, Rivers is really moving them down again. You get that mix of run, pass, whatever that mix is. But it's just not meant. It's not sustainable for an entire game.
Okay.
And they'll do it before the half a lot if they're just trying to get 3 points on the board and they want to cover the ground. It's still a 2-minute drill. Right?
I guess my question is kind of asking, like, why would a sprinter not go his or her very hardest the whole time?
Because you're running
at the end.
You're running a marathon for the whole game versus a true little sprint at the very end.
Yeah, so that makes sense. Okay, cool. Okay, well, great. Thanks. So that's a 2-minute drill. So that's a fun little term you can drop if you're with your family this year, and there's a close game on, 2 minutes left, and one team is trying to make their way back to at least tie it or take the lead at the very end. So, okay, perfect. Very cool. Well, besides that, to keep this episode moving, I mostly want to ask my dad, what happened in the first round of the college football playoffs, and what do we look forward to this Christmas week?
All right, let's get to it.
All right. Take us away.
Just remember, I'll go ahead and cover the 2 games in which many of the fan bases of Notre Dame, BYU, and a few others were not happy, right? James Madison made it in, and then Tulane. So you asked me last week, and I shook you off real fast. This made James Madison have a chance against Oregon.
Right.
Interesting enough, they were down huge in the first few minutes, like 21-0 like that. And I can't remember what the halftime score was, 31-3 or something. Oregon's defense led it, and Oregon's coach blasted their team after this. Oregon won 51-34. but they scored a ton of points. James Madison scored a ton of points against, and the Oregon coach was not happy.
Is it not just because they, you know how if you're way ahead, you bring in your second string?
No, it's more. No, they just kind of, their starters really kind of lost concentration some in the second half.
They probably just felt like they had it in the bag.
And they did have it in the bag, but yet they ended up winning by 17 points, which they really probably should have won by 30, 35 points.
Yeah.
But whatever. But anyway, Oregon won. So that was one game. The other is the Tulane game, right? Tulane versus Ole Miss. Remember, that was the one where some people said maybe an upset alert because Lane Kiffin, the head coach, left in all his crazy debacle.
Right.
And the team was a little bit, but the opposite happened. They really galvanized through this.
Okay.
Now, that's the crazy part you brought up about Lane Kiffin's contract. If Ole Miss won, he's going to get extra $100,000 already for the first round. We talked about that. It's crazy in his contract. So he left them, and he's still getting paid when they win. But bottom line is that team galvanized, and the coaches pulled them together, and they ended up beating Tulane 41-10. Okay. So they won by 31 points, killed them. Yeah. It wasn't, a game much after the first quarter. So those are two teams that were supposed to get blown out, and they did.
Yeah.
But I think James Madison really surprised a lot of people, and I wouldn't call them competitive, but I think that is a moral victory.
Yeah.
They were so outclassed. I mean, they were outclassed, talent, depth, everything.
So they put up a good fight. Well, hey, while we're on that, really quick, and I know you told me I'm the one.
Yeah, you're taking me down the path, and I get all worked up. No, I'm just kidding.
So the whole thing is people were mad that these other teams didn't get in the playoffs, like BYU, Notre Dame, who were on the edge, right? They were ranked 11, 12, 13 or whatever.
In terms of ranking,
before the playoffs
Right.
James Madison was ranked 24th in the country, apparently.
Right.
And I don't know what...
Tulane was like 20th, I think, maybe 18 or 20.
So why not, if it's a 12-team playoff and they're keeping rankings, numerical rankings through at least half the season, why not just throw the top 12? If we're calling them the top 12, why not just throw them in the bracket?
Sound like your brother today, Caleb. He's still furious about this. Yeah. Because CFP has rules that they've had in place, and it has to do with certain conference winners. And because they blew it because the ACC, remember, they blew it, and they had such a bad year. They didn't get their conference champion in there because Virginia lost, remember?
Right, we talked about that last week.
And so, Miami got an at-large bid. They're at ACC, but they're the only ones. So when that happens, then it goes to the next highest rank of the Power 4 conferences, which is the next level down. And that's where those two openings opened up, and Tulane and James Madison gets it. Hopefully they'll correct that.
I guess what I'm saying is, is there a world where they change the rules and they just say, hey, the top 12 teams are there?
Yeah, they'll change. They'll probably start the Power 5 conference, which is the largest conference, to still have whatever. There'll be guaranteed spots, right? If they win it, or they win the championship, or if they win it. But I think it'll get corrected.
Interesting.
Now, I heard, I told you I listened to Colin Cowherd a lot today. He's just tired of hearing people complain about those two teams, only because it makes a lot of sense. He says, all you people love March Madness with all the Cinderella teams, right? But if you go back historically and look, the first round, which is round 64 in basketball, right? March Madness, every Cinderella team gets blown out by 30, 40, 50 points a lot of times. Yeah. There's a few that sneak in and make it exciting, and there's been a couple that's actually won, that's been a 16th seed, won one game. And then I think one other game. But so in some ways, this is like a Cinderella, right? This kind of Cinderella team.
Yeah.
But in football, I guess they don't think it's as cool as March Madness because there's so many teams and so many games. And here the spots are very limited. So, you kind of don't want to waste it on that. Right. But anyway.
Especially if they're just going to give.
Hopefully they'll make some tweak of an adjustment on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it just seems silly to me. It's like a waste of, why were you calculating it all these months?
See, you're comparing two things, I think, different things.
Oh, okay.
Remember we talked about AP rankings and the coaches polls? That's what the rankings you're saying. BYU is 11th, Notre Dame's 12th. That's the AP, and that doesn't have anything to do with the CFP. They have their own, they come up with their own ranking.
Okay.
The real upheaval, the real mistake they made is between Miami and Notre Dame. For weeks and weeks, they kept having Miami one notch lower
than Notre Dame.
Yeah. And then when the final one came out, they jumped Notre Dame with really nothing big changed.
Yeah.
That's what upset a lot of people from Notre Dame. And reasonably, they should have changed it early. If they were feeling that strong about Miami, and remember Miami beat Notre Dame first game of the season. If they felt so much that was going to be so valuable, they should have had Miami ahead of them because nobody had win or losses after that.
Right.
So they should have already had them in front of Notre Dame.
Right. So that was an odd,
They kind of blew that for their own strategy's sake. But then for the last final ranking or pairing or of the CFP bracket, they put Miami ahead.
Okay.
So that's what really ticked off Notre Dame people.
Right. That was the drama.
And I'm okay with Notre Dame people getting ticked off sometimes.
Hey, Rivers or Philip Rivers just got a touchdown.
Did he get another
Well, I don't know
one?
if he passed it, but Colts just got a touchdown.
Hang on. All right.
Oh,
a flag. No way. Hopefully it's against pass interference defense. All right. It's going to count. Touchdown. Look at that.
Okay. Holy cow.
He must have thrown it called pass interference. So it must have been, that'd be 2 passing TDs. All right. Great. Okay. So those are 2 of the 4 games, right?
Yeah.
The other 2 games were really expected to be much more competitive, and they were in a sense. Let's talk about number 9, Alabama versus number 8, Oklahoma. They played at Oklahoma, remember? So they're the lower seed. Alabama's the lower seed, so they had to travel. That is what makes this thing fun. It makes it a lot of fun because they don't go to some neutral site.
Okay.
They get to go to this first round. They go to their home site.
Wow.
To their home. And Oklahoma, they were really thinking, because Oklahoma beat Alabama 2 times in a row and over the past year. So they were ready. But guess what? Oh, and Oklahoma jumped on them 17-0.
Yeah. They got the big lead. And Zach texted in, he's been on the podcast before, saying that if Oklahoma were to win, it would have been the first time since literally 1893 that Alabama had lost to the same team twice in the season.
Yeah.
So the Civil War was just ending, is what he told me last time that happened, which is
by 30 years, but yes, okay.
Sure, yeah.
I get his reference.
So anyway, it's kind of crazy.
It's a long dang time away, yeah.
But
they did.
Alabama.
So Alabama came on super strong in the second half. They outscored them 34-7 points. By the end of the second quarter, the end of the game, Alabama outscored them 34-7. I mean, just took
control.
Just whipped them. From that on. So that's interesting. I mean, how good then is Alabama? It's going to be interesting to see. Anyway, that was a really interesting game. Competitive, a lot of fun. Next game, if you love defense, which I do, this was a crazy game. Okay. So first of all, there was questions about Alabama getting in because they had 3 losses.
Oh, yeah.
So that's why this is so big of a deal too.
Okay. They proved that they were worth.
There you go, right? So the next one, same thing. Miami versus versus Texas A&M.
Yeah, so we talked about how they took Notre Dame out, put Miami in. That was controversial.
So they're thinking, how good are they going to be? Well, listen, one brief thing about Texas A&M, they were 11-1 or whatever, and they've been ranked high pretty much the whole time. They were going to be guaranteed a spot. They were in the SEC also, the conference SEC, but they didn't play any of the top 4 SEC teams this year. The way the SEC is so big, you don't always get to play the same, every team.
Oh.
So in this season, they had the easy schedule in the SEC.
Okay.
So people are kind of questioning how good are they? Because they really didn't play any really great team, and they had the one loss. Can't remember who it was.
Okay.
They had lost to, but anyway. So others on the side were going, yeah, I'm not really buying that they're that good.
Okay.
So it proved out they're right. They weren't that good. They only scored 3 points, and Miami beat them 10-3. Miami just manhandled them defensively.
Yeah.
And so Miami, everybody questioned whether they should be in there. Guess where they're going? To the quarterfinals.
All right.
So and they're the highest seed at 10. Alabama's number 9. The rest of the teams are 1, 2, 3, 4.
The lowest seed, you mean? If they're
highest seed when I say
number.
Yes.
Highest number, but the lowest on the totem pole.
Right. Lowest on the totem pole, but the highest seed the highest number. So.
Okay.
All right. So that's pretty cool. So the first games are pretty good. Hey, buddy.
Here we got a baby in.
Yep. But and we don't have much to say about this, but so here's the cool part. We don't have any games this weekend with college football. Well, I'm saying the bowl games are going on. Like we watched one, right? We had a little bit of that at your brother's place today. Not too exciting. Utah State and Washington State. And so we're going to have some regular plain old bowl games going on the way, right?
Okay, for Christmas week.
Yeah, and to New Year's. But these 4 games, this is crazy. You've got one game the first game is New Year's Eve, and that's Miami versus Ohio State.
Okay.
Then you got 3 unbelievable quarter-final matches on New Year's Day. I mean, the other days used to be some New Year's Day bowls. They'd be big and important, but now they're like crazy important.
Yeah.
This is part of the season.
So New Year's Day, that's a week from Thursday, right?
Yeah. That's all day long. You got
just crazy.
The highest level college football competitive against each other.
Yeah.
You can ever have.
Basically NFL
yeah.
games.
So first game, we
don't need to talk about those today because
we're
just talking about Christmas.
Right, we can talk about that next week. That's right. But just so you know, the matchup, Ohio State, Miami, I'm going to tell you this because this might change depending on what injuries happen. Ohio State, 9.5-point favorite. Ole Miss, Georgia's a 6.5-point favorite. Okay. Alabama and Indiana's a 6.5-point favorite over Alabama.
Okay.
I'm not so sure about that one.
Yeah.
And then Oregon and Texas Tech. Oregon's only a 1.5 favorite, and that's the sleeper. I told you that. BYU fans, I really believe Texas Tech is going to do some damage. And I think their defense could really tear up Oregon. So we're going to have a lot of fun. We'll talk about some pro games next Monday too, because we won't have anything college to talk about.
Okay.
All right.
Sounds good. So that's Christmas for you.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some good.
I'm sure there's basketball and hockey.
NBA used to own Christmas Day, right?
Okay.
Now we'll say but NFL's been trying to bust into that market.
Okay.
I don't really care for NBA much anymore, but I mean playoffs and all I find interesting. But there are some NFL games. Broncos and Chiefs. There's some because the Chiefs are out now, and by the way, that's the only thing I will mention about that. You never know what happens in football. The backup for the Chiefs is Minshew. Remember? Anyway, Minshew, he's he's been traveled around the league, and he has had a great story. And he actually started a little while, a season or two in a couple teams, and he's a great story. I love him. But anyway, he came in for Patrick Mahomes, because Mahomes got injured, right? Well, he tore his ACL, the backup, on Sunday. So there's going to be I'm not trying to disrespect the dude, but some third stringer, nobody knows his name, is going to be playing.
Right.
Nobody's going to be playing that.
Probably never thought he was going to play this season.
For the Chiefs.
Yeah.
They're going to,
That's got to be it.
And Chelsea says he's playing, but I don't know. I don't know how much he'll play. But so some of the games might not be as great because there's some backups in. But you do have NFL football.
There is some. Okay, so if you're into football, there you go. You might see some, or if your family's into it, you might see some on Christmas. But
all right.
Well, we'll call it there since we said before the recorded. Once the baby gets mad, we'll quit this thing. So
he's not mad. He's happy, but he just wants to go.
I think he's starting to get ready for bed finally. Yep. So Merry Christmas, everyone. Thanks for tuning in this week.
Merry Christmas.
And have a great time with the family. Oh, there's the baby.
All right. Yep.
All right. Signing off.
See ya.
See you next week.
Good job, Coop.
SportSense.